Hello, folks. Welcome back to the Redeemed Marriage Podcast. This is Rusty and Heather Bryant. We have a very special day today because it is our anniversary.
Happy anniversary. Oh, wait, where's the button?
I don't know. Don't
Can I
push the
try
button. But see, the problem is if you push it, it doesn't go on.
Okay. Whoa, I think that's what I think that's what the button does. Woo.
We don't edit. And we're not going to. We're just whatever. It's our 29th anniversary.
Yeah, it is.
We have been celebrating all weekend, but just chill. Like nothing major planned. We thought about it. We thought about taking all the stuff we learned at our romantic series that we did. And then we were like, you know what? We're never at home.
We're never at home, and that was romantic to us.
So we were just like, let's just stay at home for the weekend. So
listen to these meals. Friday night, we ate at Amerigo's, which probably, if they're not from around here, they don't know what that means.
We didn't eat at Amerigo's. We ate Amerigo's food.
That's right. Ate Amerigo's food, which is Italian, yummy Italian, for my nephew's 25th birthday. So we went over to my sister's house, and Nathan turned 25 years old, and we celebrated with that. But we just kind of counted that as part of our celebration, too.
Oh, yeah.
So
Kick things off. That was the appetizer.
That's right.
Kick things off.
First course. So then last night, Rusty took me to Ely's, which, again, y'all don't know what that is, but it's a fancy schmancy steakhouse in our area.
Yeah, it's one of those restaurants you go to like once a year.
That's right. Anniversary, maybe a birthday.
Maybe a birthday, something like that.
Mm-hmm. And I got a filet. It was so good. But we had an appetizer, we had a meal, we had dessert, like we had all the things, salad, all the courses. Then today is our actual anniversary. So after church, Rusty said, you know what? Why don't we go eat at our favorite Mexican restaurant? So we went to Sombra, and it was yummy too. We had fajitas.
It's not, I mean, people have this idea of Mexican restaurant. It's like a kind of an upscale Mexican. No, I mean, not upscale. It's
fancy.
It's
a fancier one.
It is a fancier one. It's a little different than just like the 6 Mexican restaurants
That's
that
right.
are in our little tiny community. We love them all.
That's right.
We love them all. But this was one, we took a little drive for that one.
Yeah. And it was so fun. So we've had a wonderful time celebrating our anniversary. Got to worship this morning. I mean, it's not often that your anniversary falls on a Sunday.
Yeah. And then it's so great that we didn't have anything, no responsibilities. I wasn't singing today. We didn't have responsibilities after church. We literally stayed and just talked to people
That we don't get to talk to very often.
Yep. Had a really dear friends that were here from Virginia we got to see. That was crazy.
Yep.
And we didn't even know they were coming. So, yeah, it was
And
great.
he gave me coffee.
Yeah.
I don't think he knew it was our anniversary, but that was still such a sweet anniversary
Great
present.
anniversary present. Okay, we've talked enough about our anniversary, so we're just going to continue talking about our anniversary.
That's right. It just feels natural to talk about that today,
Well,
right?
yes, we should. And we did post something this morning on social media about it being our anniversary. And so thank you to all of the great comments and just people encouraging us. And I mean, like we read all of them because we want to be able to respond when we need to respond appropriately, but we gain so much encouragement from you guys. And for those of you that just, reach out and just share something personal about how you're thankful for our anniversary because it means that we're still together and that it has allowed us the opportunity to share our story, which in turn has brought hope to you and your marriage. And that's what it's all about. And maybe we should have done a podcast on that. We've been kind of wrestling with that a little bit, just how, like, that's our whole point of this. It's not to shine light on us or our story, but to shine light on God's redemptive work and what he can do in and through marriages. And so
it's a really hard balance that we have to master, in that we want to promote our story because it gives people hope And there's so many people who suffer with this in silence. And there's not that much out there material that gives people hope. And so we want to put that out there. But there's a balance between that and not promoting ourselves. And that's what we've kind of been wrestling with over the past week or so, and just talking a lot about, because we want people, and y'all have heard me say this a ton, and if you haven't, it is the absolute core of what we do, is we want people to see Jesus. We don't want them to see us. But because God worked such a miracle in our story, we have to tell our story so the miracle can be seen. And but we want him to get the glory for that. And so that's kind of been heavy on my heart the past week or so, which I've shared with you. And it's been heavy on your heart too, because I shared it with you. And then our anniversary hitting and all of those emotions that come along with that. So we've had a beautiful weekend. I wouldn't change a thing. But we've also walked through some hard, and then come out on the other side of that with a renewed strength and a renewed hope and a renewed just fire under us for what God's called us to do.
You know, we listened to a sermon, actually one of our kids sent it to us, and we listened to it. You just listened to it, I think, yesterday. I listened to it maybe a week or so ago after it was preached, but it was basically about the story of Ananias in the Bible, when Saul was blinded, and God called Ananias to go and basically lay hands on him and heal him. And that was the only time he was mentioned in the Bible. It was like 6 verses or something.
Yeah.
And it was talking just about how we need to be okay with being like secondary characters. And, you know, obviously Saul went on to become Paul, who went on to be a primary character in the Bible.
Right.
But because...
and took the word of Jesus to the nations.
Right, exactly. And all the books that are his letters, and, you know, that we're still reading and learning and being encouraged from. But it was because Ananias was willing to be used in whatever way, and he didn't want to. And that was the thing. He was like, wait, this is the guy that's been killing people that are believers. And he's like, I don't know that I want to go and help this guy out. But he was obedient. And I just feel like that, you know, I've had a lot of people recently that have asked about our marriage ministry, and have kind of, and even you know, where do you see this going? What do you know, what's the next step? What else are we going to offer? That kind of thing. And I don't know. I just sort of feel like everything we've done has just been, you know, one step at a time and one step of faith. And if that means that we're being Ananias for a season, then we're Ananias for a season. If that means that we're Paul for a season, then we're Paul for a season. But, you know, whatever God calls us to do, that's what I want to be faithful to do. And,
you know, one of the things he said in his sermon that was so powerful for me is he said, whether you are an Ananias or a Paul, whatever season you're in, you just need to be ready to nail your lines. And that's where I want to be. It's not that I need to be the most popular, you know, sought out marriage ministry, or doing this many coaching sessions or this many retreats or this. It's just whatever I'm called to do, I want to nail what he's telling me to do. And that takes being so in tune with him instead of what our desires are.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, and I think it's important to mention this. I don't know if people follow us. You know, we're kind of spread across all the different social media channels, and of course we have stuff on YouTube, and you know, I mean, even join the whole TikTok craze, and Instagram and Facebook, and then of course we have the podcast, and And our website's unbelievable. If you've never been to our website, theredeemedmarriage.com. Yeah, it was
let me give a shout out to our web guy. You're listening.
Yeah.
So we had an interview with a higher up, somebody who's really good in that world. And he said, "Yeah, man, I was checking out y'all's website, and whoever does y'all's website is really good." Like, he went on and on about how professional. Yeah,
like, it wasn't just like, oh, I got because when he first started talking, he said, I know way more about y'all than y'all do about me because I've done my research. He said, I went to your website, I watched videos on there,
which is amazing, by the way.
Yeah,
and just went
then
on
he just
and on.
kept going. It wasn't just like a side note. Then it was like, I mean, most ministries just have very little information. He said, but it had so much information. It was so well presented, and he said I could get anything I needed from there. I was like, oh
Yeah, you did.
yeah, we got that guy.
Yeah, we do. We have that guy. If you need a guy, we know a guy.
That's
so
right.
Just tell us.
Let us know. Okay, where was I going with that?
Sorry.
I was just talking about all of our different,
platforms.
So that's theredeemedmarriage.com. But I think that, we do that, and this is a conversation we had today about, we don't necessarily need to be in the spotlight or want to be in the spotlight, but I think this world that we're living in, it requires us to be relevant and to be seen in order for people to see and hear our message, because it's so hard now to market and advertise. And so it really is just, hey, we're just taking an extension of our life and we're just kind of throwing it out there so that people can go, oh, hey, what is it that they're, what is the message that they're trying to share? And so I want other people to know too that that part of our life is so, we don't script, we don't.
I'm sure they can tell.
Well, I know, but I just wonder, because people that don't live in the social media, YouTube world, I wonder, I even do. I wonder, like, how much effort are these people putting into this?
And how many takes did that take?
Yes, and what we're just trying to present to you guys is real life. And we have somebody that helps us with ideas and social media stuff, and she'll call us or text us and say, hey, why don't y'all do this? And I'm telling you, we'll record it. And most of the time it takes us 5 to 10 minutes. And then we upload it into a folder and there it goes.
One of my friends texted and said, okay, I have to know, how many takes did it take for the Brigatti pull? And I was like, one.
Yeah.
Literally one. Like, he just said, please don't hit your head.
We didn't even change clothes. Just what we were wearing. So, but I think the reason why I'm saying that is because we don't get accused of this. We don't, because people probably look at our stuff and say, yeah, it's not very professional. But, the stuff that she takes and puts together for us is very professional.
That's right.
But I think that I want people to look and go, they're just showing us real life. And part of the reason why we've kind of jumped into doing some of these things that maybe are a little more fun and not as heavy, because we talk a lot about heavy stuff.
Yep.
Our story is very heavy. But at the same time, here we are celebrating 29 years, which is where we're moving into right now. But we're celebrating 29 years and it's fun. And I want people to look and say, you know what? After what they went through, they're still genuinely happy and still having fun. And when we get those comments on social media, when people, will comment and say, I love how you guys love each other so much. It's real. But at the same time, there's real life struggle behind us. And so, I hope that we portray both sides of that we're able to say, yeah, we lived through and walked through some of the worst pain that you can walk through in a marriage. And we came out on the other side. And yes, we're happier and better than we've ever been. But at the same time, we still have struggles, because I don't want people to look and go, oh, well, we're 14 years out of our marriage crisis and we still have all kinds of struggle. But we look at Rusty and Heather and they just look like the perfect, we're not.
That's right.
And we still have issues. And so I mean, I think that today when we started talking about just talking to our listeners, and really that's what we've done for 15 minutes now is just talk to our listeners. But I think that part of it is that you said, I just want to be real about what an anniversary
Yeah.
for us even means, and how it's not all just roses and butterflies, and that there's still struggle, but we know how to handle it in the right way
right.
now.
Well, and we hear people will come to us and say, when does the trust get back? When are you happy again? When does it start hurting so bad? When did the triggers go away?
Stop hurting so bad. You said
Sorry.
hurting.
Well, sorry. When does it stop hurting so bad? Like all of these questions. And when we say we still deal with some of that, there's a collective, because people just want to know when the pain's going to end.
Yeah, like we want this to go away.
We just want it to go away.
Tell us that it goes
That's
away.
Right. That's right. And when you try to be honest with them, when we try to be honest and say, sometimes it still hurts, that's not really what they want to hear, because that's hard. But what I need for people to hear is that even though we still have some really hard moments, there is such joy and blessing and grace and just an abundance of love in our marriage now that wasn't even there before. And so, like, even with the hard moments, I wouldn't go back to where we were pre-infidelity, because even though we didn't have quote, quote, trouble, we still, like, we aren't passionately in love with each other like we are now, because we fell so hard in love through the hard. Mm-hmm. So, like, even, like, when you hear, oh, we still have trouble, we do, but we know so quickly how to talk ourselves through it, lean into the Lord because of things that we've learned, and we're like, okay, we're moving past that because we deal with it well and are able to do it quickly. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's what I want people to hear, that when you hear, yeah, we still have triggers. Yeah. I mean, it still hurts sometimes, but we know how to walk through it, and we get through it much quicker than we did, even 10 years and more ago. Mm-hmm.
And I think even sometimes it can, our story, and then the way that we're constantly sharing our story, and we're also speaking into other people, and we're giving so many tools, and we're speaking to them about why things happen the way, why are you reacting this way, and why you should react this way, and what it's a little bit, we're kind of in the psyche of it all. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I think that can make our situation even a little bit harder, because if we have any sort of flare up, or if there's any sort of a disagreement, or even if there's a trigger of some sort, I feel like it causes us, we're always looking at it through this lens. First of all, we're looking at through the lens of infidelity and what happened to us. Mm-hmm. So everything kind of is looking through that. And so it's never just like a normal marriage problem. And we tell people, we tell marriages that mm-hmm. all the time. Yeah. That, some of the things that you're dealing with, you would be dealing with them anyway, mm-hmm. even if this trauma hadn't happened in your marriage. But now you're just looking at it through that lens.
Which makes it worse.
Makes it worse, and it makes it harder. Mm-hmm. And so we're looking at it through that lens. But then I think that we're also constantly looking at our stuff through, well, what caused that? What's the root of that? Like we're so ingrained into it. And so a lot of times I think it makes our stuff really deep. We talk about spiritual warfare a lot because mm-hmm. we understand it so much better now. And so sometimes that can make even our stuff even harder. But I think the point of it is just like what you said, we still have those struggles, but we know how to move past them in a healthy and really quick way.
Sure.
You just don't dwell on things for a long time.
Right.
And we don't, hurt feelings happen for a very short amount of time too. It's kind of like, all right, we're mature enough, we can handle this.
You can handle it, and you can be mature enough to own it. Like, yeah, I did that.
Yeah.
The way I said that, I can see how you took it that way. Instead of just saying, well, I mean, you just took it that way. That's on you. But I can say, yeah, I said that in a way where I can see how it triggered you, or I can see how it was a reminder of who I used to be. And not just, well, that's on you for hearing it that way, you know? So it's just kind of a back and forth of owning your stuff, but then also, being willing to give grace where there needs to be grace. So I just wanted to, and I don't know if this is where you were going or not, but what I thought is I just kind of wanted to be real about what I was struggling with over the past week, with it being our anniversary, and then how good God is to bring truth into my fears and my doubts, because I was looking for him. I was, asking God to speak into those things. So I think it started several days ago when I did listen to that sermon that you were talking about, and how, just being the character that God calls you to be, and me not wanting to create a character that he didn't have for me, or to try to be less than a character than he wanted me to be. And so I battle, especially around our anniversary time. For those of you who don't know, our anniversary is late July, so it's the 27th. So when we're recording this, that's today. And then confession came out in August. So what that tells you, if you know our story, is I was literally in the midst of my affair 14 years ago during our anniversary. And so that's triggering. I know it is for you, and it's also triggering for me because of the shame and guilt. And so I battle shame and guilt a lot. And, people can probably hear me talk, and, people who come to me for marriage advice and that I've met one-on-one with this summer are probably thinking, seriously, like you still battle that? And I do. I do. I battle the fact that A, that I allowed it to happen, and B, that God could even use me. Like it's like, who are you that you allowed that to happen and that you went down that path? And then also, who are you to think God can use you after that? And those are two of my big struggles. And then the one that the world constantly yells at me is what other people think about me. And, we tell our story a lot. I usually defer to you because I cry through our story in telling it. But every time I either tell it or I listen to you tell it, it's like, how? And it's not just a mystery, it's painful. It's, how did I allow myself to get there? And then knowing that there are people who still talk about me and think about me a certain way. And so that's hard. And so I've been kind of battling my identity over the past week or 2 weeks. It's just kind of normal for me to battle that around this time. And so the sweetness of the Lord this morning, our pastor, Chip Henderson, is in a series called Stories You Should Know. So over the past several weeks, he's talked about different people in the Bible that you should know their stories. And if you're new to the church, there's no shame in not knowing it. It's just, hey, you need to know these people. Mm-hmm. These stories are great. And so today he talked about David. And
he actually talked about
Samuel. But sorry, David. He talked about David.
He did. But the story, but it was Samuel. But it was Samuel's anointing.
My part was David.
Okay, you take whatever the Holy Spirit, however He spoke to you. But I just know when it started, the big words Samuel went up on the screen.
Well, and not only that, but if Chip happens to be listening, he's going to be going, okay, she didn't get what I was talking about.
No, he definitely talked about David because it was when Samuel anointed David as king.
That's right.
That was the story.
That was the story that you should know.
Mm-hmm. And it was geared. I mean, it was about Samuel anointing him, but it was David and David who David was, and
Right.
why
Yeah.
he was.
And that's the identity
That's right.
that he was talking about.
I was really just jumping in to mess with you
Okay,
because
it's
if
fine.
anity from our church was listening and you said it was about David, they'd be like, "Wait a second, could have sworn it popped up and said Samuel."
Okay, but I'm going to steal something that Chip talked about, and I'd never heard this before in my life. Did you hear? I mean, I know you heard it, but had you ever heard about the fleas?
Oh no!
Oh my gosh, that was so powerful to me. So he said that someone captured in a jar fleas and put a top on it, and the fleas would just jump up because, of course, they're trying to get out, but also that's what fleas do. They jump. And so they were popping, and they would just hit themselves on the head over and over again on the top of that jar, and they would pop up and then just fall back down. And after a while, they realized they were hitting their heads, and that hurt. And so they just started jumping and stopping short of the top of the jar because they didn't want to hurt themselves. They still jumped because that's what fleas do, but they stopped short. Well, then what this researcher found was when he took the top off of the jar, the flea, even though they were free, the fleas only jumped a certain height because it's like, I'm not going to hurt myself, so I'm just going to stay right here. And what that was reminding to me is that I am more than what people say that I am. Like, I could say, this is what people say I am, so I'm only going to jump this high. Because jumping a little higher hurts because of what people say about me. And because 14 years later, it still happens. And so for me, it was just such a sweet reminder that people do not determine my worth. People and what they say about me or think about me does not determine my value. That my identity is in Christ. I am who he says that I am. And I not just through our hurt, but through the years of what we've been doing, I know there are still people who have trouble believing that I have fallen in love with Jesus like I have after my story. Like, how could she? How could they really be happy after what she did to him? And we've had people even on social media say there's no way they're that happy. Mm-hmm. And that could make me quit jumping because it hurts. But it was just a sweet reminder knowing that I am who God says that I am. I am who he created. I am a daughter of the King and I'm redeemed. And it doesn't matter what everybody else says about me. And he said, and I starred this, he said, whoever defines you gets to control you. And if I let the people who define me as anything less than a treasured, precious daughter of the King, then I'm allowing them to control my thoughts, my actions, where he tells me to lead, what character he wants me to play. And I don't want to give anybody else that power. And so my choice is then to let Jesus define who I am. Because if he defines me, then he's in control of me and my actions and what character I choose to play in his story. So that's what I've been battling over the last days and even weeks. And it's just, that God would have me there on this Sunday to hear those words as just a reminder of, through the story of Samuel and the story of David, of who he says that I am.
I'm not adding anything. So
Why?
If you want to say anything, this is your chance.
No, you had triggers and such.
Nope. That's where we need to shut it off today.
Okay.
So, no, that's a great word. And I think that there's people out there that need to hear that. And so I don't want to muddy the water with anything else. So yeah, there you go. It took us a minute to get there, but we got there. So hopefully you hung on and you got to hear that word, and hopefully it encourages you. Hey, if you listen to this podcast, whether it's on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, iTunes, however you listen to it, please hit the like or follow or subscribe button, whatever your platform does and however they call it. And we'd love for you to give us a rating and a review, but just make sure that you're following along, because here's one thing that I did want to point out. It's our anniversary, and it's so important to us that we're recording this and that we share every week with our listeners. So important that we didn't even take off our anniversary. And so that's not tooting our horn. That's just saying that you guys are important to us.
That's right.
And so if you have received any sort of value and blessing from our podcast, we'd love for you to share it with other people, because that helps us to get the message out to others that need to hear it. All right. We'll see you guys next time.
Peace.
Peace.